It was a hard fought fight, and Sean and his little brother like jumped me. Like they start walking up to me all tough, putting his head against mine, and then grabbed me. Then I was about to swing, but my team and everybody grabbed. They grabbed Keyshawn and everything, and it was crazy.
Coach G and Mike Plabani, your cut man, broke it up.
Yes.
And you're talking about Keon and Keyshawn Davis. Now, Mike Plabani says that bump over your right eye was not there before. They do that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So what's your reaction to all this? It's a good night for you. It should have been, right?
Yeah. It's definitely.
See punches being thrown, and Nahir Albright's brother is in the purple, and you just see Keyshawn Davis come in. The guy running in is Keon Davis, and things are being thrown. There's no room for this in the sport. There's no room for the Davis brothers to be in the building tonight. The police escorted them out. You saw a stroller being moved back. That's Keyshawn Davis being pushed away. But the reason he's so upset is because that's his son that's in that stroller. He goes back to retrieve his son.
Certainly didn't help the Davis brothers.
Stock just plummeted to the floor. All-time high. You see how quickly things change? You see how anger can get the best of you? You see when you don't control your anger, you see what happens? This type of stuff right here. The stock just plummeted to the floor. I was a Davis brothers fan. I was. No, I'm a Dula Mason 5 brothers fans because the way they behave.
What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Tony here from Tony Knows Boxing, and today we are here to talk about the boxing event that just transpired in Norfolk, Virginia. What was supposed to be the Keyshawn Davis versus Edwin De Los Santos card, which turned out to be the Abdullah Mason versus Jeremiah Nakatia card. I have a lot to say, but I also don't have a lot to say. I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet, but I do just want to break down some things that happened and give my thoughts. So as you guys can see, there was an altercation backstage that transpired between Keyshawn Davis and Nahir Albright's group. But before we get to that, I just want to talk about what all happened leading up to the fight. Now, if you guys don't know, I'm going to break it down to you. This week was a hectic week for Keyshawn Davis and Edwin De Los Santos, and the whole card really. So let's break it down from the first press conference that they had, which happened on Thursday. Keyshawn Davis, this is his hometown. Norfolk is his hometown. Last time they came here, he put on a show. They had to bring him back again. It was a sellout crowd, or so to speak. And Keyshawn put on the show. He stopped Gustavo Limos, who came in 7 pounds overweight. Ironic. And put him out in the second round, I believe. And Norfolk had to have him back. So he comes back to Norfolk. He likes to put on the show. Keyshawn has a very distinct, vibrant, outspoken, outgoing, personality when it comes to selling fights. Like, he's not shy to say anything. He's gonna make sure that fight gets sold. And you guys know how I feel about a young Abdullah Mason. Also Keyshawn Davis. I've made videos on both of those guys separately telling you guys how they're both future faces of boxing. And there comes a time where Abdullah Mason is transitioning from a prospect to a real contender. Keyshawn Davis just had that span in 2024, early 2025-ish, that demands a fight. They're both on top rank, both at 135, both might move to 140 soon. Why not? Let's make it happen. And so Abdullah Mason go on interviews with Fight Hype and all these other sites, Fight Hub, and they ask him, would you like to fight Keyshawn for his belt? Would you like to fight Roman retire? Would you like to fight Vasily Lomachenko, who just retired? Would you like to fight Gervonta Davis? And he always says, I got an appetite for smoke. That's his slogan. He doesn't duck no wreck with nobody. And he called out Keyshawn Davis and Shakur Stevenson and said, whichever one of them can get it. And so Keyshawn Davis, at the press conference, interrupts Abdullah Mason while he's speaking and says, we can fight when you want to fight, calls him out. And Abdullah Mason, he was a little hesitant, stuttering, like, I'm just gonna do, whatever my team has next for me. You know what I'm saying? We're focused on Jeremiah, and I can see it right now. Whatever happens after happens after. Abdullah Mason is real business, like, just going about his business. So I didn't take anything away from the altercation, but social media ran wild with it, saying that Keyshawn pressed Abdullah scared, whatever. I don't see that as the case, man. Whenever they get in the ring, they're gonna get in the ring eventually. Whenever they get in the ring, it's gonna be fireworks. Now, mind you, Keyshawn was saying, that's my belt. Let's fight for my belt next. Now, Nahir Albright, right? This is where he comes into play. Nahir Albright, if you guys don't know, fought Keyshawn Davis a while back now. I think 2023, and it was a tough fight for Keyshawn Davis. Probably the hardest fight. That one or the Miguel Medueno fight, the hardest fight of Keyshawn Davis' career. And ultimately, he ended up rocking Keyshawn Davis in that fight. Keyshawn put out the victory. I believe it was a majority decision. I thought it was a wide margin. I thought the judges were tripping, but the win ultimately got overturned by the commission because Keyshawn Davis had a positive marijuana test. Now, marijuana is not PEDs, whatever, right? But he was giving Keyshawn some work. Now, fast forward, Nahir Albright, here he is in Norfolk, fighting older brother Kelvin Davis. Now, if you guys don't know who Kelvin Davis is the older brother of Keyshawn Davis. And they also have a younger brother, Keon Davis. They call DB3. Kelvin Davis, in my opinion, is the worst boxer out there. So, in my head, if Nahir Albright is keeping up with Keyshawn, went the distance, gave him some good work, how is he going to fare with Kelvin Davis? So, I ultimately, and I'm going to show you guys, I placed a bet on it. Nahir Albright was the underdog. I'm putting money on that, Even if I lose, it's a good bet. And Nahir Albright ended up making easy work of Kelvin Davis. To be honest with you, I scored it 8-2, 7-3, 6-4, 9-1, whatever you want to score it. But yeah, I thought it was easy work. It was ultimately a majority decision for Nahir Albright. But they're getting into it in the press conference. I think Kelvin was getting hyped up by his brother a little bit, feeding into the energy. Albright, it got a little hectic at the weigh-ins. At the press conference. Fast forward to the weigh-ins, it's getting hectic. Everybody's making weight. Edwin De Los Santos makes weight for the Keyshawn Davis bout, and here comes Keyshawn Davis, 4.3 pounds overweight, and he's smiling, laughing like it was just funny. Like, the show's still gonna go on. I outgrew the weight. I tried to make weight, and you could tell it was phony. It was Keyshawn Davis, according to Edwin De Los Santos' promoter, felt dry. And when you're dry like that, you weren't trying to cut the weight. He felt his back. He said it was strong, dry. But that ultimately led to Edwin De Los Santos pulling out of the fight due to the Ryan Garcia Devin Haney situation. They said they did not want that to happen. So ultimately that fight was called off. So Abdullah Mason gets called to the main event, in which, look what happens. Keyshawn trying to play bully. He ends up losing his spot, and Abdullah Mason gets the main event in his hometown. Now, fast forward to the fights. Everybody's doing their thing. He had Troy Isley, Tiger Johnson on the cards. Tiger Johnson had a pretty boring fight, but Troy Isley did his thing. Keon Davis, the younger brother, did his thing. And we get to Kelvin Davis versus Nahir Albright. And like I said, Nahir Albright made easy work of him. And you can tell Keyshawn and Keon and Troy and Tiger and Keyshawn and the Davis brothers' mothers, they were all on their feet, like, in shock. And when Nahir Albright won, you could see the Davis brothers in the corner looking at Albright like with a dead stare, like something was about to happen. And fast forward to Abdullah Mason coming out and fighting. I think it was about the second round. We get a report that Nahir Albright got jumped by the Davis brothers, Keon and Keyshawn. We're like, what? Jumped? after you missed weight, was unprofessional, and now and you jeopardized the main event. People were asking for refunds. Over 2,000 or 3,000 people got refunds and didn't come to the fight. And now you're gonna do this? All because your brother lost? Really? That it's gonna put a stain on Keyshawn's career for forever. Keyshawn was gaining steam, gaining popularity, becoming a household name, and now his stock just plummeted. As you can hear, Tim Bradley was highly upset because Keyshawn is ultra talented. Keyshawn is one of the best boxers in the world. Well, you can't have stuff like this going on. It's going to tarnish your name forever. And ultimately, I believe that Keyshawn should be suspended. Keyshawn should face a hefty penalty. Keon Davis, I don't really know. But what I will say to Keyshawn, because I don't want to just trash Keyshawn, because once again, I am a Keyshawn fan. He has to take this as a lesson. He's the cash cow of the brothers. Kelvin is the oldest. Keon's the youngest, but you know how seniority goes. Keyshawn is the cash cow. He's got to act as the older brother here. He's got to walk with a sense of responsibility, professionalism. He's named a businessman after all. You have to walk with that. You're the cash cow. Anything, even if something triggered him to do that, you can't do that in that situation and mess the money up. You already missed weight and was unapologetic about missing weight and ruining the main event in your hometown. So, Keyshawn, you have to be big brother here. Even though you're not big brother, you have to be the big brother here and walk with that professionalism, because you ultimately are the money grab of the family, and you ultimately can, change your family's lives, all because of you. Kelvin and Keon don't even have to box, and they'll be straight because of you as a boxer and the money you're gonna make and how talented I know you are. But Keon's also, he's talented too, and he can make a lot of money. But as of right now, Keyshawn, you're the one that got your brothers on the card. It was your main event. It was your main event in your hometown, first title defense. But yeah, Keyshawn, he should face a penalty, and it's rightfully so. It's sad to see. Once again, this is doing boxing a disservice. I made a video on the Ryan Garcia and the Canelo cards and how bad that was. This is even worse when people are paying to come to your fights. I even thought about going to this card out here in Norfolk, but I'm glad I did it. I probably we would have wanted a refund too. We wanted to see Keyshawn Davis. Abdullah Mason is nice, don't get me wrong, one of my favorite fighters in the world. But for the prices we're paying for, we're expecting to see all of them, not just Abdullah. But yeah, man, you guys let me know down in the comments. What's your take on it? Should Keyshawn be suspended? And what do you think is next for Keyshawn's career? Are you ultimately wanting to see Keyshawn again? I know a lot of people saying they don't even want to hear him again. I respect good boxing, and Keyshawn is a good boxer, so I hope he can turn it around for his sake and his career, because Keyshawn Davis is ultimately one of the best boxers in the world. But yeah, you guys let me know down below. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. Tony on Those Boxing, we out.